Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at 9 NBA games here on Monday. I've got player prop projections and some really strong leans as we're still waiting for a lot of these lines and news about injuries to come out. So I don't have everything done yet for tonight on Sunday night, but I will have that for the live show, which we do every day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So jump in on Monday, bring your bets, jump in those comments, let me know what you want to look at, and we'll go over that stuff together in addition to going over the final bets that I place. So if that all sounds good, give the video a like. Let's jump right into it. One more reminder that I do have the VIP Discord with the link in the description of the video if you don't want to miss any of the bets that I'm making and the write-ups that I'm offering. But we also do a lot of betting education in there. So if you're looking to get a little bit better at sports betting and learn some of the secrets behind how to be good at this whole thing, go ahead and hit me up. We'll see what we can do and get you some one-on-one consultations without even necessarily needing to be in the VIP. But let's jump into what I got here for the first bet. I'm talking about Franz because this man has been wicked hot as of late, especially over the last 7, and all of those have been without Paolo. Now played 13 games since Paolo got hurt, and over in 7 of 13, but 6 of the last 7. So kind of struggled out the gate without Paolo in the beginning of the season. 25.8 points per game now without him total, but in these last 7, 29.3 over the course of that time, and shooting a little bit better from deep, but just really attacking the rim without fear, right? Complete ferocity. If you look at the last game where they just played the Hornets without Paolo on the 12th, I believe, or so of November, 14 paint points, 12 fast break points in that game. And that's what this team gives up. The Hornets are just not good anywhere near the paint on defense, and they are giving up a good amount in transition as well. And you look at Wendell Carter Jr. now back into looking like he's going to be back. He's still questionable, but it seems like he's leaning strongly into playing on Monday. And if he's out there, he's a lot more of a versatile center than Goga Batadze, which means he doesn't have to necessarily be in the paint or near the basket to be effective. Wendell Carter can actually shoot a bunch of threes as well. So he does create a better spacing on the floor for Franz, probably opening up more lanes for him to go to the rim and be, I guess, defended by like Taj Gibson and Grant Williams. Like nobody that's left on the Hornets right now has any shot of stopping or limiting Franz. So even at 27.5 points, I lean strongly to the over for him. A couple more looks from this game. Obviously, have to talk about LaMelo Ball. The quietest 50 points that I've ever heard of, to be honest. He just dropped 50 against Milwaukee, and I believe that was an overtime game, but I'm not going to take anything away from scoring 50 points. Granted, he shot the ball like 32 times, but that's just going to be what he continues to do. Now he's going back up against the Hornets, the Magic, who he just dropped 35 against, and that was just in 35 minutes because that game was a blowout as well and was pretty much done by the beginning of the fourth quarter. So he did most of his damage before he even got taken out of the game in the middle of the fourth, and that's in part because that's what this Orlando team gives up, is everything that LaMelo wants to do, which is shoot off the pull-up, play as the pick and roll ball handler. Those are the two plays that this team struggles the most against for Orlando. They're not going to double team, so they're not giving up anything to spot up shooters, but they are giving it to that pull up because they're not going to bring help when you attack a guy one-on-one. They're giving up the fifth highest frequency of pull-up shots. So that's the only thing that, I mean, it's by design, but it's the only thing that the opposing team really has at their disposal is the ability to pull up, because you got to beat your guy off the dribble, and you're probably not getting all the way to the rim with this very good defense. That's why LaMelo took so many threes last game, and that's going to probably continue to be the case as Miles Bridges is out. So is Trey Mann, his true backup point guard. So we'll see a little bit more of Vasilije Micic, my boy, the Serbian god from the point guard there. But other than that, like, we're talking about LaMelo and Brandon Miller, and we'll get into Brandon Miller here in a minute. But the man is taking 30 shots per game when Miles Bridges is out. He's gone over in all 5 games without Miles Bridges this year, 37.8 points per game with 17 3-point attempts per game. 17 threes is more than most people are taking shots per game, like the majority of the league. So him taking 17 threes is beyond insane, but it's something that we're probably going to continue to see because he doesn't have much help outside of Brandon Miller, doesn't really have any centers down low to work with. So if this team's going to win, he's going to be bombing threes, Brandon Miller's going to be bombing threes, and they're going to need to hit quite a few. Speaking of Brandon Miller, I wrote down the points here. I think the rebounds might be a better play for him. Obviously, this Magic team, a really good rebounding team, so I'm still a little bit hesitant with it, but lately, since he's gotten healthy and been playing without Miles Bridges and Trey Mann as well, he's just been a killer, to be honest. I mean, 25.8 points per game now in all the 5 that he's played without Miles Bridges. Last game, he did play against Orlando without Bridges and didn't do very well. He shot absolutely horribly. 8 points on 3 for 18 from the field. I believe 1 of 11 from deep. That was just about a week ago or so. But either way, the volume is there for him. Even in that game, he took 18 shots, and that was like his second game back from being hurt. Right now, he's got another like 3 games under his belt, gone over in the last 3. Took 26 shots 2 games ago, 23 shots in the last game versus Milwaukee. So look, if he is the problem is the shooting. Like, I need him to shoot well for him to get over this prop. I trust LaMelo a little bit more, at the very least, because he's going to take 6 to 10 more shots than Brandon Miller, than everybody probably in this game. So I'm not as worried about going over even on a higher number for LaMelo at like 30 points per game or 30 points in this game. I'm still not really worried about it. Brandon Miller gives me a little bit of hesitancy with his lack of shooting at times, his lack of ability to find other ways to score besides the pull-up or the spot-up jump shot. So the fact that he relies on the spot-up a lot more actually than LaMelo Ball does make me a little bit weary, because obviously, like I said, Orlando much better against catch and shoot than they are against the ISO play or pick and roll ball handler, and that'll be LaMelo. So Brandon Miller's probably going to be a stay away at like 24, 25 points. That's a little bit high for me, yet somehow LaMelo at 30 isn't. This Pacers and Pelicans game is something that we still need to wait a little bit more on, but that's mostly because of the Pelicans. We're looking at the potential of like CJ McCollum playing, but we really know who's going to be in for the Pacers already. We don't really need to worry about any questionable tags here. We know the normal slew of guys that have been missing lately are going to be out for the Pacers. Nembhard, Nesmith, who am I forgetting? Isaiah Jackson. There are a lot of guys just not going to be available. So we're looking at Pascal against a New Orleans team that, I mean, it might have CJ McCollum, doesn't really impact him. Might not have Yves Missy, though. Their starting center, the Rook, who's been playing really well for them lately. He's questionable, missed last game. And without him, I mean, they're even worse than they already are down low. And they are giving up the second most points in the paint on the season. So there's good reason to buy into a guy who wants to attack the rim in Pascal in this one. And he's been playing really well, right? And the types of plays that he wants to run, really going to the rim, getting out into transition, and really just beating the defender either with speed because it's too big of a defender, or with his strength because it's too small of a defender, right? He creates those mismatches, and that's a really good option for him against the Pelicans, who aren't going to be with their versatile players, right? Like if New Orleans had all their guys and we could rely on their long, rangy defense, like even Herb Jones, if he was playing, that might be reason to pause with Pascal, who didn't have a good game against his team last time, but I think he has a better performance now against a team that is giving up the 8th most points per game to his position, does like to give up points to his play type, and he's gone over in 7 of his last 9, averaging about 22 a game. So if you give us about 20.5 points, I think it's a good over for Pascal. I mentioned Yves Missy. He's a really good option for the rebounds if we can get him. So some books are still posting him at about 7.5 rebounds right now, Sunday night, like I said, whatever the hell day it is. But he's still questionable, so we don't know for sure. I think he's going to end up playing in this one. If he gets 25 minutes, I think he's good for 8 boards, especially if he's in the starting rotation and going up against an Indy team that really not that good of never has been, to be honest, a good of a rebounding team, not really good down low in general. I mean, Miles Turner would rather play on the 3-point line than he would down low at times. So it does leave some opportunities for opposing centers to get those rebounds, especially. We've seen them get about 11th most against the Pacers this season, giving up the 11th most rebounds per game, I should say, to centers. And if you look at the list of guys who have gone up against them recently, 8 of the last 10 centers have gone over their rebound prop versus Indy. 7.5 is a nice number for a guy who in his last 6 looks really good. 17 rebound chances in just 26 minutes, about 10 boards per game. So this is a number he's consistently gone over. Getting 8 boards at about plus money is what it opened up at here on Sunday night. That's a really good look for Missy. I like BI in this game. He had a really good game against the Pacers last time out. Zion played in that one, and Zion looked actually really good in that one, I will say. And BI still got his points at 26 in that one, and he's opening at about 21.5 right now. So this is a good over as well for BI against a team that just doesn't defend well against the pull-up, right? That's what he wants to do, and we know why. But the important thing here is McCollum might play, and I just don't know what that's going to do, because he hasn't played basically the whole season. I don't understand what his impact is going to be with this sort of, group of players that the Pelicans are actually going to throw out there. It's just not stuff that we have like use case for. We don't have the experience with these types of lineups that we're going to possibly see if CJ plays to know what's going to happen. But we do know that if CJ doesn't play, this is a good look for BI. And to be honest, if CJ plays, even if he plays 20, 25 minutes only, I still think this is a good look for Ingram because he does need some help. Like he needs a little bit of help off the ball because everybody's just able to double him or triple him at this point. They know he's the number one weapon. They haven't even been with Jordan Hawkins for most of this season. So BI's been actually struggling in situations where he has no help. That's why I thought it was worth bringing up. Zion played in this last game versus the Pacers and helped out Ingram. So it's just that this is the exact type of player that you want to take to score against Indy, right? They allow limit seventh, their seventh best limiting the catch and shoot for Indiana because they don't double the ball, which we've talked about multiple times. They're not a good team to take assists against because nobody's going to help off of their man and then leave guys open. So there's not many assists to be had against this team. They're third best limiting it on the season. But if you are the primary ball handler and a guy who can shoot off the pull-up, which is literally just describing Brandon Ingram's game, then you can get some points against this team. And that's a big reason why he got 26 last time. I would take him to get about 25 once again if this game stays within reason and he's able to, not have his team get blown out. Then he'll still be in there in the fourth quarter with the ability to get these points up because the only games he hasn't been going over is the ones they're getting blown out. And the last one that he played against the Warriors, also a pretty bad game against one of the best defenses in the league. Pacers, not a good defense this season. Let's head to Denver and look at this Nuggets and Knicks game and talk about Nikola, the Joker, three-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. Been too many for me to even remember how many he's won now. The Knicks are very good on defense against centers. I will say number 10, limiting center points. They're number 1, limiting center rebounds. So like Naz Reid ain't walking through that door. Naz Reid's the only guy in the last couple of years that has really slowed down Nikola Jokic. And we saw that mostly in the playoffs last year. I mean, I'm saying it a little bit tongue in cheek, but not really. Like Naz Reid did the best job defending Nikola Jokic that I've seen in a long time. And I don't think it's going to be Cat who's going to be doing that stopping now that he's going to be out there. Like it might be Cat, it might be OG. We might see some Anunoby. The Knicks have done that before where they put Anunoby on the bigger player on the other team and then left their center. In this case, it's going to be Cat available to guard a worse defender, right? And even stand just a little bit closer to the basket to get a lot of those rebounds. I don't know if they're going to do that against Joker. I don't think you can really afford to have a smaller guy like that on him, but we'll see what Tibbs wants to try. Either way, I don't care. Give me Jokic to get his points. I'd rather have him have Cat guarding him. There's no doubt that if Cat's guarding him, he's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to put him in a blender. He's going to make him look silly. But either way, I think we know now that Jokic understands he needs to score for this team to be good, especially right now as he's without Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. not shooting it well, Jamal Murray, I'm waiting for him to return to form. Not sure that he ever will. And I called that at the beginning of the season that Murray is going to have a down year, both with injury and with the fact that they don't really call fouls nearly as much as they used to in the NBA. And Jamal Murray, undersized guard, benefited a ton from the way that calls were made up until the middle of last season when everything changed and referees stopped calling nearly as many fouls. For Jokic, though, doesn't matter. This man's going to put Cat in a blender. He's going to put OG in a blender and just stop him into the ground. 30 points per game this season, over in 5 of 6, including his last 5 of 6, including 4 straight. And there's a clear-cut moment in time where he was like, shoot, I need to score. And it was when he called out his team and said, we're not good at shooting. Since then, he's over in 7 of 9. Since that moment in time where he called out the team for not being able to shoot, he's been going crazy. 7 of 9, averaging 33 a game in those last 9. Like I said, 30 on the season, and he's at about 27.5 points here. I love this. And the reason I think he understands that, I mean, look at the wins. In wins, he's averaging 31 a game, and he's gone over in 6 of 8. So there's clear correlation between him scoring and them winning. He knows that, and I think he'll continue to do that and put up the necessary shots, get to the free throw line as well to get to about 30 tonight. I think I've put Christian Brown in every single show that I've had in the NBA this season, that at least when the Nuggets are playing, and I feel zero remorse because this man has hit every time that I've done this. It's absolutely nuts that we're still getting 13.5 points and 4.5 rebounds for him. You don't even have to add the rebounds. It's really the points that keep hitting. But I like adding the rebounds because in the couple games where he went under in the points, he got the rebounds, right? And with Joker in there, he's averaging more points and more rebounds. And Joker's the type of player that's not actually that surprising, right? Because he makes everybody around him so much better. But especially this guy, Christian Brown, who did fine when Joker was out, but did go under twice when he missed. And since then, with Joker, he's only missed one game. He's only gone under 18.5 points and rebounds in one game. We're looking at 21.5 on the season, 9 rebound chances per game, and about 10 shots with 3 free throws. So we can get some easy points from him as well. But the key is that when Joker is out there playing off of him, this is like the only dude who's both very athletic, going to the rim, can handle the ball, and can shoot, especially because Michael Porter Jr. apparently can't shoot right now. But Christian Braun is the perfect player to go off of Jokic and sort of help out as you see Jamal Murray struggling so much. This is the type of dude getting out his buckets off of transition, getting his buckets off of the dribble handoff, catching it from Jokic, and cutting backdoor. Those are the 3 plays, 3 things that if you play with Jokic, he's going to find you, right? In transition, he's going to find you cutting to the rim. He's going to find you on the little dribble handoff as his big body screens the defender and doesn't allow him to get around. So love CB to keep going in this one against the Knickerbockers. Speaking of my Knicks, I've come around fully now to Jalen Brunson being a pass-first point guard. And pass-first, whatever you want. Maybe he wants to shooting is option 1A, passing is option 1B. But it used to be shooting was option 1, 2, 3. Passing was if he had to last year, right? And he didn't have the help that he has this year. Didn't have Mikal Bridges. Actually didn't even have OG for a lot of those games, and didn't have Karl Anthony Towns playing alongside him. So now he has so much better talent on offense that he doesn't have to take 30 shots a game and score 30 a game for this team to win. If you look at the way that he played in the first 3 games, I don't think he yet knew that, right? Under assists in the first 3 games with Cat, still trying to score, forcing things, shooting a poor percentage. Then he kind of chilled out. And in the last 13 games since then, he's gone over in 9 of those 13 games that he's played at 7.5 assists for plus money, by the way, which is still on Sunday night as I'm recording. 8 assists per game in that time with 13.8 potentials. And Denver is a team that is perfect for getting assists against if you're a point guard, not points, right? They are giving up the 5th most assists per game to the PG position. They are giving up the 14th most points. They're actually giving up the 14th fewest points. So we'll say 16th most points versus point guards. So they're not exactly good limiting points versus point guards. They're just worse limiting the assists without much defense on ball. We'll see if Christian Braun ends up guarding him, maybe Peyton Watson if they want to try it. But either way, it's going to be somebody bigger, somebody as athletic as he is. And that's going to force them to have to pass a little bit more, which has been a lot more open with better players on offense for the Knicks this year. See how bad Dante DiVincenzo is right now on the Timberwolves. So this is a really nice assist play for Brunson. And I'm going to start targeting his assists a lot more and stop targeting the under on his assists like I did last year. I want to give you a bet on Cat, especially coming off such an awful performance versus Utah. 6 for 19 from the field, including 1 of 9 from deep. 26 points per game on the season, though. This is a fair line, right? Against a team that, I mean, look, we've been targeting center points when it's the opposing center versus Jokic in the VIP Discord all season. A couple guys that have been pointing that out and made really good points. And we talked about this last season too, if you're an opposing center going up against Jokic, it's very important that you tire him out as much as you can. So you want to go at him on offense. And I think Cat will be going at him on offense, but Joker will be getting help. If he's even guarding Cat, he'll be getting a ton of help against him. We might see, this is where Aaron Gordon would be perfect. Obviously, if Aaron Gordon was in, he would be guarding Cat so that Jokic didn't have to even expend the energy on defense and would be a lot more available for the rebounds. And that's part of the reason I'm not taking Jokic on the rebounds is if he is guarding Cat, which I think he might be. I don't know for sure because we don't have Aaron Gordon, so he might have to. And if he does, Cat is going to pull him from the basket. This is the number 1 team limiting center rebounds for a reason. It's not just because they're a good team at rebounding. They also have a 3-point shooting center who draws your center away from the basket, and that makes it tough. Plus, he's taking a ton of shots. If you're the guy guarding the guy shooting, harder to get rebounds, right? Because you're so busy trying to block the shot, and you're not in position to get the board after it comes down. They are 16th versus center points, so bottom half of the league, but just barely. That's why it doesn't really give me much of an edge for Cat here. I don't mind the boards for Cat, but everything is high. I mean, it's high against a good team. It wouldn't be high if he was playing the Hornets or the Hawks or whatever, or the Jazz, which he should have done well against, but missed 13 of 19 field goal attempts. So it's just not something I want to do. I think you have better options here on the Knicks for spot-up shooters. So I'd be looking at probably Mikal Bridges and OG, who have had some really bad games in their last 3 and are probably the 2 biggest reasons that this team has lost a couple games now in their last 3. But there's still going to be some opportunity for spot-up shooters to get their points versus Denver, as they're in the bottom 5, limiting that shot. But they are very good against the pick-and-roll ball handler and even down low. So I'm not necessarily willing to take Cat on the points. I think there's going to be a better option here for guys, like I said, that are coming off the spot-up shots. One more game that I have props for as I'm actually recording this for you guys, and that is Portland at Memphis. But there are too many injuries to even know what to do here. You've got DeAndre Ayton, who is doubtful. Again, I've just cut the man or something. Donovan Clingan, he's got a left knee sprain, so it looks like he's already out. You've got Jeremy Grant questionable, Scoot Henderson questionable, and you've got Chris Murray out, which wouldn't matter except for they've had to play him because of how injured this Portland team is. So I don't know what to do with Portland yet necessarily, because Scoot and Jeremy Grant are a big deal, right? Like Jeremy Grant would be getting a lot of those shots. Scoot Henderson be getting about 27 minutes, probably putting up about 11 points, probably getting about 5 to 6 assists and a couple boards. So they'd be eating into some other guys' stats if they're playing. I don't know what to do with the Trailblazers just yet, but with the Grizzlies, I really want to bet on John Morant, who is potentially able to play in this one. And he's got a low points prop at about 18.5 right now, which do with that what you will. We don't even know if he's playing. But if he does, 18.5 is a wonderfully beatable number. What we need to know is, does he have a minutes restriction? We need to hear from Chauncey Billups directly tomorrow at shoot around, which is usually at about 11 a.m. local time. This game is in Memphis, so that'll be what's that? That's the Eastern time, right? Maybe it's Central. Either way, it's going to be earlier, probably about 1 p.m. Eastern is when you're going to hear a little bit more about what is going to be happening here. Not Chauncey Billups, by the way, but apologies. We're talking about the Memphis coach here, talking about Ja playing. We need to hear both coaches tell us who's playing before we can do too much. But I do at least want to bring up that this is what I would be looking at based on what sort of pans out with these injuries. So you can see for Ja, he might be back. What all that means to me is take him on points and or assists if they're low enough, because right now I don't trust too many other Grizzlies, and we need to take a look at what other players are doing when he's in. Jaren Jackson Jr. been better. Desmond Bane probably actually more likely to do well with Ja. He's been really bad so far since he's come back from injury, but we'll see about that on the live show tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. The other guys I can tell you about right now, though, that I'm eyeing on the Blazers: Robert Williams III, points and rebounds. We know that Ayton and Clingan ain't playing. Ayton probably ain't playing. And then we've got Jeremy Grant, also questionable. So with all of those bigs and the guys who would be closer to the basket for this Blazers team, Robert Williams is going to be a good look for the points and the rebounds, especially the points are at like 7.5, and they're a very beatable number. Him to make 4 buckets, 4 twos, I like that if he's going to play 25 minutes. The rebounds, if we get those at like 6, 7, we might even get those at 6.5, to be honest, even if he is the starting center, just because we don't even know how many minutes he's going to play. But those numbers are pretty beatable for a guy who's gotten pretty healthy and is actually probably going to be a good trade piece that they need to show off. So I would expect that to be a good motivating factor for him to get minutes. I love Delano Blanton's game. They just don't give him minutes, but if they don't have Scoot Henderson, then he's going to be out there a good amount. And we've actually seen him close games as the starting point or the closing point guard, even when Scoot's out there playing. So Delano Blanton, if we can actually get props for him, because we rarely do, I like his points and assists in this one. Simons and Shaedon Sharpe, the other two backcourt guys, neither of them are really looking to pass, if we're being honest. I mean, Simons just wants to shoot, and Shaedon Sharpe just either wants to make threes or dunk on you. So neither of them are going to be good for the dimes. If Blanton is out there, I love him for the assists. And last thing here, if we're looking at Portland Trailblazer players, the key thing to remember is that Memphis is sort of the opposite of Indiana and like the Magic, right? Where those teams pressure the crap out of the ball with one player and don't necessarily double team ever. Well, the Grizzlies are trying to trap you. They're trying to get you to give up that ball. And when you do give up the ball, there's probably going to be open shooters if you can find the right guy. Now, granted, Memphis does this on purpose to try to force the ball into the hands of the worst shooter on your team. But there might not be that much, that many bad shooters on the floor for this Portland team, especially if Jeremy Grant is around. I think Jeremy Grant would be the points that I'd be looking at as the most common spot-up shooter on this team against Memphis. That would be the play for sure, as the dude who's most likely to be sort of in the corner shooting those threes. That would be Jeremy Grant. He's questionable, so we still got to wait and see about that injury report. Check out the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going over all of this. One reminder as we get out of here, outlier.bet, one of the best tools around. You'll see me using that on the live show tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So bring your bets, jump in the comments, and we'll be looking at outlier.bet to go over that stuff. If you do want to try this product out for yourself, 7 free days if you use the link that's in the description of the video, get you a 7 free day trial so you can go ahead and see if it's worth it for you before you go ahead and buy that monthly subscription. So nothing to benefit me here, just in case you want that tool, there is a link in the description that helps you out there. So until I see you next, happy betting.